Welcome back to another class on Evean Hazaer Halacha series. We are still in Siman Aleph, Halacha Yud, in the Pitche Teshuva Ot Tet Zayin. This will be part 10F of the Shi'ur. The Pitche Teshuva begins, Uma shekatav berhetiv mihu bait chadash katav. And this is what the berhetiv wrote. However, the bait chadash wrote. Now, just to clarify, this berhetiv we did not do in Od Chavbet. The reason why we didn't do it is because I explained then that the berhetiv copied the Beit Shmuel, and the Beit Shmuel we did do, which is in Od Chav Gimel. So I'll read it for you, and then I'll just explain to you the case, in order not to go through the whole thing again. So he says over here, Mihu Bait Chadash Katav. However, the Bait Chadash wrote, that it's a tradition from the great rabbis of the world, etc. That they should all come to an agreement to allow the husband to marry another woman through 100 rabbis. Look into the response of the Chatam Sofer in Siman Daled that he was asked a question. Now, before we get into what question he was asked, let's just refresh our memory what happened. The Ramah said, "U'b'makom she'ena rishona bat girushin, kigon shenishtertet, o shehu min adin ligerasha." In a place where the first wife is not divorceable, for example, she lost her mind, or halachically, he's able to divorce her, but she doesn't want to accept the get, the Ramah said, we're allowed to be lenient with the guy, and he's allowed to take for himself a second wife. We saw that according to the Bash, what does it mean, Shu min adin ligorsha? We're speaking about a woman who was overt al dat. According to the Shev Yaakov, he said, no, it's speaking about a woman who's not overt al dat, but rather they were not able to have children for 10 years. But then we saw in the Bash, we saw the opinion of the Kolbo, where the Kolbo says that in order to be able to allow the Chemra Rabbeinu Gershom, so that this guy can have two wives at the same time, the Kolbo said you need 100 men from 3 congregations, from 3 countries. Came the Darki Moshe said, I don't get it. If the Chemra Rabbeinu Gershom is expired, why do you need 100 men to allow you to go ahead and allow the guy to be with another wife? If the Cherem of Rabbeinu Gershom expired a long time ago, and it's only a custom, they're being stringent to keep that Cherem, so in this situation, since the woman is not divorceable, allow him, let's be lenient and allow him to marry the second wife. Basically what the Darkei Moshe is saying, that you don't need to have 100 men sign off saying that he's allowed to get married to the second wife. Came the Beit Chadash says, Kabbalahim migidulei holam. This is what the berhetiv quotes, and I'm just reading it to you over here. Katav, however, Beit Chadash katav, Kabbalahim migidulei holam, because remember, the Bash concluded now that you don't need 100 rabbis or 100 men to sign off for this guy to get married to the second woman, because the Chemra ben Gershom expired. That's why comes the Beit Chadash, and he says, Mihu, however, Beit Chadash Katav, the Beit Chadash wrote, Kabbalah migdulei olam, that it's a tradition from the great rabbis of the world, sheyatziu ha'inyan lifnei gidolim, proposed the idea before the great rabbis, shebe'ot ador, that are in that generation, v'yaskimu beheter me'ar rabbanim, and they should all come to an agreement through 100 rabbis, meaning 100 rabbis should come to an agreement that they allow this guy to get married to the second wife in our situation that we're speaking about over here. Either where she lost her mind, or either where halachically he's able to divorce her, but she doesn't want to accept the divorce. So what is the Pitche Teshuva saying now? This situation of the Beit Chadash where he says you need 100 Rabbanim, how is the case speaking about? What kind of Rabbanim? So this is what we want to try to see today. So he says over here, Shinishal, that the Chatam Sofer was asked, do you need to have 100 rabbis from 3 countries equally? That means, let's say you have country A, country B, and country C. From country A, we're going to take 33 rabbis. From country B, we're going to take 33 rabbis. From country C, we'll take 34 rabbis. Okay, one off, but equally, we need to divide it equally. Or maybe no. Sagi tzadik ched midina achat. Maybe it's enough to have 98 from one country. Ushnayim anuturim echad midina acheret. And the two extra ones that are left off, you're going to take one from another country. So that means we have country A, B, C. Take from country A 98 rabbis. Make it easier on us. From country B, take one more rabbi. From country C, take another rabbi. You got 100 rabbis. That was the first question that was asked to the Chadam Sofer. The Chadam Sofer does not answer this question over here. Continues another question that the Chadam Sofer was asked. Umahu bichlal midino midino. What's considered to be a country? How do you define what's a country that you're telling me now that I need 100 rabbis from 3 different countries? Define what does it mean a country? That also is not going to be answered today. This next question we're going to try to see today, Belinader. Ve'im sagi b'bachurim muflagim lashlim minyan ha'me'am. If it's enough to have exceptional young men in order to complete the count to 100 men, meaning to 100 rabbis. That means like this, what happens if we have 90 rabbis? We can find 10 more rabbis. The question was asked to the Khatam Sofer, can we use exceptional Talmidei Chachamim to complete that number 100 by getting 10 more big Talmidei Chachamim? And this is what we want to answer today. So what we're going to go and answer today is like this. This question, the third question we just want to work on today. If we have 100 Rabbanim, no, let's go the other way around. Not that we have 100 Rabbanim, let's say. If we have 90 Rabbanim, we can't get 10. Are we allowed to use 10 exceptional Talmidei Chachamim in order to make the count 100 complete? Alright, that's going to be the question. So one more time. V'im sagi b'bachurim muflagim. Is it enough to use exceptional young men who are big Talmidei Chachamim la'ashlim minyan ha'me'ah in order to complete the count of 100 people? V'katav, and the Khatam Sofer wrote like this. Havada, he says for sure, D'ma shekatav ha'bayit chadash v'hiskimu beheter me'ah rabbanim. This is what the Bayit Chadash wrote, that you need 100 rabbis to come to an agreement to allow this guy to marry his second wife. Al korchach lav rabbanim mamash. We are forced to say we're not speaking about real rabbis. Yoshim al kisei rabbanu, that are sitting on rabbinical chairs, bikihilot, in the congregations. Deharei katuv behatakana shiyu migimel hakihilot, because it says in the institution, when it says that you have to go and get 100 rabbis from 3 different countries, from 3 different communities, from one of the institutions, you should get it from 3 different communities. So if you're asking me to get 100 rabbis from 3 different communities, you can't have 100 rabbis from 3 congregations. That's impossible. From 3 communities, you can't have that. That means you have to tell me that if you have 100 rabbis in 3 communities, that means each shul has 33 rabbis. Right? 33, and 34. Doesn't make sense. Each shul probably has only 1 rabbi. That's it. Or maybe 2. But not 33. So that's what he says over here. Al korchach, we're forced to say, Lav rabbanim mamash. We're not speaking about over here real rabbis, Yoshim al kisei rabbanu, that are sitting on rabbinical chairs, bekihilot, in the community. Because it's written in the institution that you need to find these 100 rabbis from 3 communities, from 3 congregations. And it's impossible to have 100 rabbis from 3 congregations. It's impossible. So, number 1, we just eliminated, when the Bayit Chadash says you need 100 rabbanim, he's not speaking about rabbanim that are rabbinic authorities or authorities that have a position as a rabbi. One more time, Rabotai. We are eliminating the fact that when the Beit Chadash says you need 100 rabbis, what kind of 100 rabbis? We're eliminating the fact that it's not 100 rabbinical rabbis that have positions, that have authority. That is out. You don't need those kind of rabbis. Amnam, however, he says, Gam the Anashim Ba'al Makamer, but also he says it's impossible to say that we're speaking about regular people because the Kolbo said in Od Chav Gimel, the Ela Hadir Cherem Rabbeinu Geshem, Ela Alpi Me'a Anashim. That's impossible to say because he said you can only allow the Cherem Rabbeinu Geshem that's through 100 men. What do you mean 100 men? You can't say through regular men. That it can't also be why. Kedimash Lashon Teshuvat Maharam VaKolbo, like it's implied from the language of the Maharam and the Kolbo, where they clearly say Me'a Anashim, 100 men, but that can't be the case, like I just read it. Why? The Hakatusham, because it's written over there, Deba'inyan Sheyeh Lahem Tam Mevorar, because you need that they should have a clear reason, V'yaskimu imadin, and that they should agree with the Halacha. In order for them to be able to think clearly, you have to know your laws, you have to know halachot. In order to agree with the halacha, you have to know halachot. You can't just take regular people. How they're supposed to know what I'm saying is right or wrong? So again, we have over here two things now. We eliminated that we're not speaking about rabbis that have authority, out. Meaning rabbis that have position to work as a rabbi. That's out of the question. That's not the kind of rabbis we're speaking about. To say that it's regular people, that's out of the question. You can't use regular people because they have to know what they're talking about. Elavade, rather for sure, do you know what kind of people you need to have when it says 100 rabbis? You need 100 rabbis that are fit to paskin halachot. They have to be able to know the Shulchan Aruch called Orach Chaim, Yeridea, Choshen Mishpat, Evean Hazaer. When you ask them a question, they have to be able to give you the halachic answer. Look, they're Rabbanim, but they're not the rabbis that have a position as a rabbi. Okay, they're ordained, they have smicha, they got whatever. But they're not the rabbis that are sitting on rabbinical chairs where they're able to have authority. Umivinei mada, and they also have to be very, very knowledgeable. They have to understand the knowledge. La'askim im hamoreh harishon, to be able to agree with the original rabbi, the real rabbi. Be'inyan hahu, in that matter, whatever that he says, they have to be able to understand and they have to be able to agree with him. So we see over here, Rabotai, something very important. We see over here that we have eliminated that you don't need to have specifically a rabbi who has a rabbinical position. We have eliminated that you can't say it could be regular people, because regular men you need somebody with halachot, somebody who knows something. So who are we speaking about over here? Which kind of rabbis you need? You need Talmidei Chachamim that are fit to make Pesak Halacha. They're rabbis, but they don't have a rabbinical position. That's it, finish. And already we have the custom, like it's written in the Noda B'Yehuda, in Siman Gimel, L'tarev amusmach b'moreinu, to go ahead and to join to this one who's ordained by our teacher, meaning by a rabbi, Shera'ui l'sader kiddushin. Even that will be enough. According to the Noda B'Yehuda, he says, no, you don't need to have somebody who is makes Pesach Halacha, who knows the Shulchan Aruch, or Chaim, Yeridea, Evean Hazaer, Choshen Mishpat. No, that's too much. Where are you going to find all this today? He says, no, even if you have somebody who's ordained by a teacher to be able to be fit to do Seder Kiddushin, to be able to marry off a couple, that is good enough. That kind of Talmid Chacham, that kind of rabbi is good. Kimoshi Tiken Maharil, like the Maharil made an institution, Shelo Yisader Gitin v'Kiddushin mi she'enu musmach, that one should not arrange divorces or marriages, meaning one should not get involved in divorces or marry people off, mi she'enu musmach, one who's not ordained. So we see over here, but if you are ordained, that's good. Hachanami hacha. So too, in our case, that will be the same halacha. Since if you have a person who's ordained by a teacher that is fit to do the kiddushin, that is good enough to have him as one of the people, to be for the 100 rabbis. V'dai b'kolozu, And it's enough with this leniency because it's a very big leniency. Because remember, on top we said, you are the Khatam Sofer said you need 100. Which kind of Talmidei Chachamim you need? 1 second, let me just see it over here. For sure, you need somebody who is fit to make Pesach Halacha. You need big Talmidei Chachamim that they know the Shulchan Aruch cold. But comes the Biyudi says no. The custom already is as long as somebody is musmach ordained, even in kiddushin alone, to be able to marry people off, which you don't have to know a lot. You have to know the section for marriage. V'dai bekulos, and it's enough with this leniency that once you have this leniency, even if all 100 are only ordained to do the kiddushin, which you do have, no problem. You can go ahead and you can use them in order that they should sign off and be able to allow the guy to marry the second wife. Aval lo bachurim afilu gidulim v'tovim. However, he says, but not young men, even if they're big Talmidei Chacham, even if they're good Talmidei Chacham, no, you can't do that, Rabotai. They have to be ordained by a teacher to be able to misader kiddushin, or, like we said, according to the Khatam Sofer, they have to be fit to make Pesach Halacha. But just to tell me that, oh, you have young, exceptional men that are great in Torah, they learn well Torah, that's all nice. But we need not only the learning, they also have to be able to practice. They have to be able to go out there, and when the question is asked, to be able to see what the answer is going to be. Okay, so Rabotai comes out here like this. When we ask the question, so that answers the third question. We ask the question, can you use exceptional young men in order to be able to complete to the count of 100? The answer is no. And we saw when the Beit Chadash says 100 Rabbanim, what kind of 100 Rabbanim? Rabbanim which are fit to make Pesach Halacha, and according to the Noda B'Yehuda, as long as they're ordained by a rabbi to be able to misader kiddushin, that is also good enough to allow him to be one of the 100 people in order to sign off for the guy to be able to marry a second wife. Okay, so it comes out like this, Rabotai. When the Beit Chadash says you need 100 rabbis, we're speaking about 100 Talmidei Chachamim. They're rabbis, but they have to be fit to make Pesach Halacha. They have smicha to make Pesach Halacha and all the Shulchan Aruch. That is good, even though they don't have rabbinical positions, that's fine. But they have to have a smicha to be able to go ahead and make Pesach Halacha. That was according to the Khatam Sofer. Came the Noda B'Yehuda says, even if they have a smicha only alone on Misader Kiddush doing marriages, that is also good enough. But this is what the Kolbo said, that it's enough with 100 men. He didn't really mean 100 men. He meant to tell you 100 men. When he said that there are 100 men, it doesn't mean regular men. Because he says you need to have somebody who is here. She is lahem tam mevorar, that they should have a clear reasoning. V'yaskimu imadin, they're going to be able to agree with the halacha. In order to be able to agree with the halacha, you have to know halachot. You have to have a lot of reason. You have to have a lot of knowledge. So therefore, it comes out over here that whenever we speak about 100 men in order to sign off on the paper, according to the Beit Chadash, or even according to the Kolba and other rabbis that require 100 men, no problem. What kind of men? Talmidei Chachamim, even though they're not rabbinical figures, meaning they don't have a job as a rabbi, but they're rabbis. So they never got a job, no problem. They're allowed to go ahead and be the 100 men to sign off for this guy to marry a second woman. And Noda B'Yehuda said, even a better, even much more lenient you can be by having somebody who's ordained to be able to do kiddushin. That in itself will be enough. That in itself is a leniency, but to go lenient more than that, to tell me even big Talmidei Chachamim who are not ordained, or they're not Pesach Halacha, that we're going to tell you they're not allowed to sign off. Rabotai, have a great day. Baruch Adonai Olam. Amen ve'amen.